Today we're going to focus on vocabulary. So we're going to review our vocabulary words, and we're also going to go over a vocabulary strategy that I'm sure you've learned in the past. So let's start with our vocabulary review, which will be on slide 12. You will determine which vocabulary word best fits in the sentence using those context clues. As always, if you get down to the number 7 or 9 or any of those and you don't have a word left that makes sense, then obviously something that you have above it is not correct. So you're going to need to go back and change and fix that. Another thing we're going to do today is create a concrete poem. So I'm going to have you read this story, Poetry About Poetry, at the end of our dog newspaper book. After you've read that, you will then create your own concrete or shape poem. I know it'll be quite hard to create a shape poem by typing it. So if you want to write one on paper and then copy it or take a picture of it and put it on here, you may do so, okay? And I'll show you what that is here in a minute. Then the final activity you'll have for today is homographs. You know what a homograph is. Homo meaning same, okay? Graph meaning something that a visual, right? So these words may look the same, they may sound the same, but they have different meanings, or they may even sound differently, right? So homographs are words that are spelled the same, but pronounced differently, and they have different meanings. For example, pudding. I am putting books in my backpack. Here's another example. I am practicing on the putting green to make a hole in one. The words are spelled exactly the same, but they are pronounced differently. So they look the same, but they sound different, okay? So when you are completing this, you need to type in the homograph that fits, okay? Can you please blank the door since you are sitting so blank to it? What would you do to a door? You would close the door since you are sitting so close to it. Both are spelled the same. So you would type here, close the door, and because you are close to it. Okay, so the first one's done for you. Here's some funny homograph videos that you can watch to go along with this. As for your concrete poems, when you are into the story, the Journeys storybook. Okay, so if we go to content, unit 4, lesson 18, Poetry About Poetry starts on page 556. So you can read through this story. There's different poems about poetry. And then on the final page here, you see it's called a seeing poem. So this is what we call a concrete or a shape poem. Okay? There is no exact, it doesn't have to rhyme necessarily. It could be just a series of words that have to do with the picture that you're drawing. It could tell a story. So the only element that is required is whatever shape you create, that your poem is about that shape. So if you're choosing to do a football, then your poem should be about a football and not soccer. If you're choosing to do a heart, then it should be something to do with the shapes or love or Valentine's Day or something like that. Okay, so you pick something that you're interested in and you can write your concrete or your shape poem about that. The prompt here has you writing about an after-school activity. If you can't think of an after-school activity that you would like to write a poem about, then you may do anything you want. If it's your favorite food, if you want to write about tacos, then you write about tacos. Write them in the shape of a taco, and then post them up here for us to see. Okay? In-person learners, we're going to be doing this with paper and pencil. So distance learners, again, if you want to do that, you may choose that option as well. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I can't wait to read your concrete poems.